I would like to thank Minister Amendola joining us in this conversation. Most of you know Vincenzo Amendola. He was a member of our assembly, knows exactly what we do. He was for many years in the Italian delegation. He's now a Minister for Europe. And Minister, thank you very much for participating with us. I know you're very busy, especially in these last 2 days, but all this period. We had, as you probably know, 2 weeks ago, the governor of the Regione Lombardia, Fontana, who spoke a little bit about the situation in Lombardia, and thanks to some of our members, there's been also some follow-up from members of the Bureau in helping Lombardia. The reason why we called you this time is, besides being the country most affected by this crisis, also in your capacity as a Minister for Europe, because you could offer us not only an Italian perspective, but a little bit also what your colleagues are saying in Europe. And as we all agree, this crisis, a global crisis, which requires global responses. I've heard you saying this in so many Italian networks. So we'd like to get a little bit your feeling about what Europe is doing, and also any other thoughts that you have for us. And also welcome President Saratelli, who has just joined us. Mr. President, we'll come back to you as soon as the Minister for Europe from Italy has finished his intervention.
Ah, okay. I didn't know. It's an important surprise.
Yes, yes.
To greet you and express our solidarity again. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ministro. Ministro,
so I would like to. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, Mr.
Yeah. No, first of all, thank you very much for this invitation. I would like to extend all my greetings to all of you connected for this conference, hoping soon, Vienna or wherever, in Copenhagen, wherever they're going to have a meeting. As you mentioned, I was member of the Parliamentary Assembly, so I'm devoted supporter of OSCE. Just to mention as an introduction, speaking about this crisis, it's clear that we are confronting ourselves with a new agenda of the worldwide community, new risks that we are living, of course now affecting the health of the people, but this is giving us also the sense how it's important to speak about multilateral assets, multilateral cooperation, to restore also the idea that multilateralism is not dead. As you know, some months ago, somebody was speaking about a world without multilateral cooperation. And there were many people believing that was possible. When we look at the reality that we are living on nowadays, we saw that multilateral tools like yours, OSCE, G20, UN, all the cooperation is needed to confront ourselves with the reality that we are living. And of course, the European Union is part of this dimension. So if there is a good element in this bad situation that we are living, where many people are making sacrifice, many people are dying, and also all our community are in lockdown, is that we know that we need multilateral cooperation among states, among people, and to reshape the traditional one. European Union is in the middle of this big historical event. I have to be honest. Yesterday night we finished the Eurogroup. Tomorrow there will be another Eurogroup that has the mandate with proposal to the European Council that will be after Easter. What we are living is special moment, and I want to be honest. European Commission, European Central Bank, and the Bank for the European Investment are doing a great job. I want to be honest, clear, because otherwise I don't like this rhetoric that European is not doing anything for the European people. The Commission in just 1 week made the important decision about the Stability Pact, about the state aid, about building up a circulation and cooperation, for example, on health and medical equipment that was not existing because it was not a European affair, but was more national. There were important decisions about support funds, a new scheme for the unemployment insurance for the national level. And also the central bank did a great job with the new vehicle that was pushed by President Lagarde just a few weeks ago. European Bank for Investment mobilized money and grants for the liquidity of the entrepreneurs that are fighting in this historical recession that we are living in. So I want to be clear, the European institutions, they are doing their job. What is missing now, what we are discussing at the level of government, is a fiscal coordination policy in order to sum up a lot of resources in order to face the recession. Because the calculation that many institutions are doing nowadays, that we are confronting ourselves in the next period with a huge amount of, let's say, problems in terms of the chain of value that is interlinked in the European dimension. And we need a lot of cooperation and resources, not to pay the national debt of each state, but in order to push all together, supporting the economical recovery of the European dimension. This is the discussion nowadays, which tools, if we have to create new tools or to use old tools that are devoted for the crisis. I think this is important issue. I think that also the G20 coordination is very important. I think that the OSCE is facilitating always combination of relation among the members in order to even to stress solidarity, I want to say, among the members, because we, as you know, we were the first country affected, so we were more, we received a lot of solidarity from all over the world, and we are grateful for it. Yesterday, our Prime Minister, make it just an example, has spoken with the Nobel Prize from Ethiopia, the Prime Minister that is sending 30 doctors to help the Italian doctor. We know that this is something like a drop in the ocean, but it's something that shows that cooperation, solidarity, moving together is something really that can change also our profile in the next period. During this period, I want to mention the General Affairs Council at the meeting also to open the negotiation with the European Union for two new members, North Macedonia and Albania. I know that this news was very covered by all the terrible news that we received, but it signals that there is a work that we have to do, and we have to do all together. So, to be concrete, and to thank you very much for this invitation, and I'm ready for answering to all your questions. If we have to speak about a recovery plan, not just for the European continent, but for worldwide community, we have to restart from multilateral cooperation, reshaping and strengthening our tools for the multilateralism. They are still in place and strong, and they are existing. And secondly, we have also to change some rules from the past. European Union is understanding, there is a discussion, an important, interesting discussion, but in order to face the new risks of the globalized community, we need to also to change our way, how we make policy. This crisis is not business as usual. I don't think that after the peak will pass in all the European countries and the United States, that is going to challenging the community, and then there is Africa, that I think is one of the big issues that we have to take in consideration. We can come back and to make all our political way to maneuver as it was in the past. Something is changing. The reality, history is making us confronting ourselves with a new reality, and I think we have to update and to work together with more cooperation than before, and also changing some ways that are not appropriate to the globalization. And I would like to say that strengthen and stress OSCE is one of the best examples in the parliamentary level and also government level to work in this way to unite people and to find solutions. Thank you, Roberto. Thank you, George.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Enzo, Ministro. It's a very nice intervention. I don't know if anybody wants to put any questions to the Minister.
I'd like to.
George.
May I? Thank you very much. Happy to see you all. Of course, we'll be happy to see you in person very soon. Dear Minister, dear Enzo, we really appreciate very much all your efforts. We can understand what's a burden now on government, on all the ministers. That's very understandable, and we are, of course, following all the events, especially in Italy, Spain, France, which are unfortunately still very slowly dropping in Italy. And we all wish that the trend should be more, firm, and we hope for this. You see that parliamentarians are active. We are trying to be, let's say, on the spot in this extraordinary situation. And thanks to Roberto, we are quite often connected with each other and also with our Italian friends. And what I'd like to see, as you said, in this, it is a test for everybody, for all the governments, and I think all the institutions. And solidarity and cooperation is very important. And I'm very, let's say, pleased that I see now representative of a very, very challenged country who is full of, let's say, enthusiasm and energy and vision how to move on. Because now the situation, which will be maybe overcome soon, at least the peaks and crises could be a little bit less, and it will be a response of public health authorities and all the countries. But then, as you mentioned, recovery, and then the recession, which apparently will be in many countries and in whole Europe. And then, of course, this cooperation, and especially cooperation between parliamentarians and executive branch, to act as a united team, it will be very important to overcome that together. So I think we have, unfortunately, in this term, a long way ahead, and we are ready to assist and help the governments. And maybe also one question: how do you assess now? We understand that European Union it's helping you. But how is your internal resources? I mean, in the shutdown of the economy, how Italy copes with its own resources, and how important is what's let's say part and input of international aid now? That's I think important question, and also for many countries, we will follow afterwards the trend. And this recovery and the gradual mitigation of shutdown, opening of enterprises, and how this process is foreseen by government. So thank you once again, and so very much for this intervention.
Minister.
No, George, you're right. The recovery plan is something that we have to already to start now. As you know, in the last 6 days, we reached the so-called plateau. So the curve is going down slowly. So it was affected at least 2 weeks before the other countries. So Italy, now the curve of the contagion is increasing. So we hope that this curve is going down. But we are planning already the so-called phase number 2. But the phase number 2 has 2 elements. First of all, we need to work still on the contagion. Because, of course, with the lockdown, possibility of huge spreading of the pandemic. But what you need now is, of course, to live together with this contagion until we don't have the vaccine. So this means also social relation that will change. Distance will be one of the points that we have to take in consideration. So the first chapter and pillar of this phase number 2 is always health, protection, medical assistance, changing and strengthening a lot of the health public system because it's needed for going out, I think, not just for a few weeks, but I think for months that you have to bring it up. in order also not to receive a reverse of the contagion like it happened in some Asian countries. The second pillar of this recovery plan is an economical recovery plan. The European Union and European countries are moving, I would like to say, in the same way. Thanks to the temporary framework of the European Commission on the state aid, all the countries are providing a scheme of guarantee via public guarantee for the liquidity to the entrepreneurs to the economical system. This is a way all the countries are doing. I think the first was France, then Spain, Germany. Everybody is doing this kind of approach. The first point for the resilience is to keep liquidity in the system, especially in the entrepreneurs system, in order to give them the possibility to restart and to recover with some public guarantee. This was a smart move from the Commission, Commissioner Vestager, that, let's say, lift up all the state aid restrictions that we have in the internal market. The second point for the economical recovery that we are using, of course, is social protection and employment, because we think and we see that many, especially in the service, many people will lose jobs, so we need to guarantee for a period in order to maintain a social cohesion. The third point that we are analyzing altogether is to check how deep is the crisis, how deep is the recession, and to check together with the central bank, together with the Commission, if we can have some fiscal stimulation altogether as 27. Because this crisis doesn't affect one country. This crisis is a crisis not just about speculation or stock exchange. This crisis is related to the chain of value of the production at the European level. To be clear, there are many companies that are completely interconnected in terms of having goods, producing and offering to worldwide. European Union is based 30% of the GDP on export, and we know that the global chain is at the moment is very stocked. So what we have to do is to push some resources in order that the internal market, the competitiveness of European Union, and also the integration of a way of producing and consume will be stable. And in this sense, there is no country that can do alone, because it's not a point just to point a country, name a country, and check how they can resist on the stock exchange and for the public debt. It's a problem of reactivating, reshaping internal market system, and also to reshape companies that probably are based in one country, but they have their chain of value all over the European dimension. So as a continent, we have to stand up again, recover, and to do all together. I would like also to underline, because I know that you have a geopolitical profile, that of course this crisis will have also some effect on the geopolitical balance. We should not underestimate this, because the effect could be related not just to the interconnection between Asian countries, European, and the transatlantic relation, but could have effect because some countries from this crisis could have also a big shock in terms of their economical plan. Let's imagine the country that they have their production and their economy based on oil, budget figured out by oil cost, and also exchanging their mechanism in so quick time. So what I suggest is that OSCE, all together with the member of the parliament, look also health protection, economical recovery, but also geopolitical aspects and effects from this crisis that will be absolutely turbulent. And in this sense, I was mentioning at the beginning that we need more than in the recent past multilateralism and cooperation, because we need to strengthen the tie among the countries. Roberto.
Thank you very much, Mr. Minister. Thank you very much, Enzo. Anybody who wants to ask a question to the Minister? The next in line is Lord Bonas.
Very much. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Yes. Well, thank you for the floor. Thank you, Minister, for your contribution, which I think was a very important one, which we all need to bear in mind, the message which you have given about European cooperation. You may think that it is strange that that is being said by somebody from the United Kingdom. I just want to say to colleagues and take this opportunity in these very dire days that there are many of us in the United Kingdom who have had to accept that we are not going to be any more in the European Union, but that we have not accepted that our relationship should be anything other than very close with the maximum cooperation. And I hope that that message is understood by our friends and colleagues in those countries that are still members of the European Union. We want to be with you, and there's a great deal to stand together over at the present time. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for your intervention. If you allow me, I would like to pass you also all the solidarity for what you are living in the UK, especially for your Prime Minister. And in Italy, we are following this situation very carefully. All the sympathy for Boris Johnson, that is very famous in Italy, as you know, also for his love with our country, for the history of our country. So absolutely, we are working in cooperation. UK is a land that is giving hospitality to 100,000 of Italians. We are calculating more 700,000 are living there, many Europeans. The European dimension is not just related to the European Union, and is what we are doing also with many Balkan countries and also for all the OSCE membership that is in connection. So this feeling that you are presenting, I largely share. Italy and UK, they have to work together. Unfortunately, we postpone. Of course, we postpone the COP26 that we have to do, this important event on environment. We are going to postpone for the next year, but it's a tie that we have to strengthen. I think it's something that we have to do. And of course, we respect all the decisions that we have done, and in cooperation with the European Union, we can strengthen our ties, historical, that were strong in the past, in the present, will be strong.
Thank you very much, Mr. Minister. If there are no other questions for Minister, Elona, you wanted to ask a question to the Minister. Please go ahead. Elona from Albania.
Thank you, Roberto. Dear colleagues, thank you, Minister. I appreciate what you said, and I know that also taking your time, your precious time from the all of Italy is passing to other countries. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So I would like first also to thank you for also mentioning Albania and Albanian solidarity, which of course it is very small, but as also our Prime Minister said, we have half million of Albanians living in Italy, and we are a country with which is not rich, but which has good memory. So this solidarity, I think, is also an example that all countries have to do, and a lot of countries I see that are doing. And this is also a good example how countries can better cooperate to cope with such extreme situations that we all are facing. And of course, I just want to mention that definitely there is going to be a huge impact, economic impact, health impact, mental health impact, also all situation that the countries are passing, and that's why we need to better cooperate. So I really appreciate what you said, and we look forward for better days for Italy and for all the countries. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Elona. I want to tell you that the sentence of Prime Minister Rama, we are not rich, but we have a good memory, is something unforgettable, and moved all the country, because we know that 30 doctors from Albania helping the Italian doctor seems not so huge number, but is based on friendship, support, solidarity. And as you mentioned, as he mentioned, and you mentioned that we have a good memory, we are going to have good memory for the future as well.
Thank you. Thank
you. Thank you very much, Elona. Thank you very much, Mr. Minister. Basically, you know this assembly very well, and you know that, of course, it's not going to be the Parliamentary Assembly who can solve these issues. You are talking about big money in the European Union. But I thought it's very timely, as you said, that we need global response to these problems. And here we have a patrimony. We have 323 members of parliament who are connected to the people, all of them affected. So I thought this was going to be our contribution for the Parliamentary Assembly side, like to make sure that we keep this network of parliamentarians alive, also in moments when we cannot meet in person. We are going to discuss after you've gone a bit, we'll discuss also the ways in which this Parliamentary Assembly can continue to work in these circumstances, because we really want to make sure that parliamentarians are not left behind in this discussion. Governments, of course, have introduced the state of emergencies in many places, and of course we want to make sure that there is also oversight from the parliamentary side. So the patrimony that we have is not in kind, although some of us have also provided with the help, as you can see, or the connections that we have. Here I would like to thank publicly also Christian Viganin, who put us in touch with a company in Kazakhstan that helped immediately the Regional Lombardia, but also Romania for sending help to Italy. So, I mean, this is in small what we can do from our side. Some of us had the idea maybe we could send part of our budget, but I don't think this is really our job, what can we do with a small budget of the OSCE Parliamentary Assembly to help symbolically with a couple of respirators. I think that if we are adult and serious, what we have to do is to keep this network of parliamentarians alive, ensure that in their respective countries, they talk to their governments, they talk to their people, there are this connection between executives and people, and keep on pushing on the bottom that these global challenges that we have, and it's not only the sanitary challenge, but we have challenges with climate change, with terrorism, with movement of people. All these challenges have to have global answers. And so this is what we provide. This is our acquis in small, and I think we need to keep it alive.
If you allow me, Roberto, this is a point that in Italy we discuss a lot, because as you know, for health reasons, also the parliament, Italian parliament cannot have daily work and daily job. There are a lot of, but there was a huge discussion, because I think that in this period that the parliament needs, and they make sacrifice, of course, but they need is a huge signal. The decision of President Sassoli to convene the European Parliament, and there will be also next section, even from remote, from the house, is a signal that we are fighting. We are fighting. We know that the value of liberal democracy is in place, that the tools of liberal democracy are not shaking under this situation. I think it's something that you can show, and you can help a lot to give this message. In this period of sacrifice, we have to think about the recovery, and we start from not just from the patrimony, but from our future, that is democratic institution, the base of our social cohesion. So in this sense, of course, with our member of the parliament that are part of your family, I think that you can give a great signal that we are still thinking about the future, and we are working on it. So thank you very much for what you do, not just for the government relation that, of course, has a different dimension. But the meeting of the parliament in this situation, even complicated, even via web, is a signal of resilience that we are capable to overcome each challenges that we have in front of us.
Thank you. I am unmuted. Yes, thank you very much, Minister. Not only the OSCE Parliamentary Assembly, but what we're trying to do also is to involve other parliamentary assemblies, the Council of Europe, NATO Parliamentary Assembly. What we're not playing here a petty game of, oh, we are better or we're doing more than others. We're really trying to demonstrate that this is the moment when all global institutions.
Allow me, OSCE parliamentary member, you are the best, don't worry.
Yeah, I know. You are. So that's the idea, that we encourage all parliamentary multilateral organizations, but also governmental organizations who are international to be strengthened and to work together in a cohesion way. So